that. I am grateful to be with you today. I appreciate the fact that my wife, Christy, and my 4 daughters were able to join us today. Thank you for being here. It makes this day extra special. Thank you. I want to thank the Taylor Tea Party for the invitation. I want to thank also Bob and Belinda Root and those of you who made us feel quite at home. They opened their home to us. They entertained my 4 daughters, which is a feat unto itself. So thank you very much for that. You are truly blessed to live in such a beautiful part of the state of Florida. We are impressed. We bring you greetings from Southeast Florida, from Indian River County, from Vero Beach, and the Indian River Tea Party. We're about an hour north of West Palm Beach. Now that you know where we're at, please consider the invitation officially extended to come and visit us sometime. And you're more than welcome. All right, everybody wave. The last few months have been incredibly busy, as tremors from the April 15th Tea Party have now erupted into an earthquake which is shaking our nation. Time well invested in organizing and writing and speaking, all because of a message that has resonated in the heart of the American people unlike anything I have ever seen. So to be asked to address you on this particular sacred day is an honor that is greater than I deserve, and one that I will cherish for many, many years to come. Regarding the first celebration of Independence Day, John Adams wrote to his beloved wife Abigail, "It ought to be commemorated as the Day of Deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty, with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, bells, guns, and bonfires, and illuminations, hopefully later, from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward, forevermore." And that is the spirit of Independence Day. Today, it is my mission to move far beyond simply relaying what is true in our nation. For we must become more than simple spectators and consumers. Today, it is my desire to ignite within each of us a passionate fire which, despite all opposition, may never be quenched. To move our nation from a people who watch and see things happen to once again becoming a people who march and make things happen. Yet in order to realize where we should go, we must always look back at where we have been. History is one of mankind's greatest resources for direction, and even more so as we find ourselves on an unfamiliar trail, finding and searching for a way out of this God-forsaken wilderness, this entitlement mentality that has captivated this nation. Our forefathers clearly marked a pathway which leads to green meadows of freedom and prosperity. So let us cease from being distracted by the wilderness around, and let us instead take friends and neighbors by the hand and carefully guide our nation back to the pathway which leads us far away from this wilderness and toward the meadows of freedom and prosperity which every human soul longs to experience. Remember, it was not long ago that our very ancestors lived under the religious and the political tyranny of a rapidly expanding English government. Crippled by excessive taxation and oppressive laws, colonists were faced with making a choice between apathy or action, between cowardice or courage, between indifference or independence. Convening in Philadelphia in 1774, the First Continental Congress declared, "It is an indispensable duty which we owe to God, our country, ourselves, and posterity, by all lawful means and ways in our power, to maintain, defend, and preserve those civil and religious rights and liberties for which many of our fathers fought and bled and died, and to hand them down entire to future generations." To preserve the civil and religious rights and liberties From the early pilgrims to the colonists to the founders themselves, those who blazed America's pathway to freedom recognized that religious and civil liberties go hand in hand. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, the one who people claim is the founder of separation of church and state, by the way, the God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. The hand of force may destroy, but it cannot disjoin them. And so they developed one of the greatest blueprints in history for a nation that is moral and free and prosperous. And while our forefathers believed strongly in the value of education, they realized that education without morality results in nothing more than educated criminals. Like Congress. And so, what did they do about it? Schools, churches, and parents united in teaching a combination of faith and morality which became the bedrock of our society. Citizens were not only literate, they were decent human beings who loved God, their country, and their fellow man. And while none of our founding fathers advocated state-sponsored religion, they were neither ashamed of nor intimidated to call upon the Almighty for protection and provision. I remind you that every signer of the Declaration of Independence placed pen to paper and endorsed a contract which began with the simple words that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, and ends with this pledge: with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Oh, that America would be graced by the presence of men and women with even half their faith and their courage. And may that be you and I today. Having set out to lay this deep moral and educational foundation, their attention was turned to government. While math, science, and reading contributed to great monetary success, it was history that led to the realization that no civilization has ever succeeded without the citizens themselves first being self-governed. Samuel Adams said this, that fathers should be instructing their children in the art of self-government, without which they can never act as a wise part of society. Jefferson saw it as critically important. He said that to attain self-government, rivers of blood must flow, and years of desolation pass, and yet the object is worth it. For what can a man pass down to his posterity more valuable? Self-government is the reason why the words "we the people" have so much profound impact on our Constitution, for it lays upon us the responsibility of responsible living.